everyone, it's Ninchi Mardi again. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 7 main elements that influence the interpretation of an act, which is also known as interpersonal communication. The first element is people. When you interpersonally communicate with another person, you actually communicate with them based on your knowledge of the categories in which you place that person. That category could be about their culture, could be about their status or how educated they are. That will define how you will choose to communicate with them. Now, as a relationship develops and you communicate more with the same person, you actually become better at communicating with that person. The reason is because you can actually start slowly anticipating how they might react or respond to something that you tell them. When it comes to interpersonal communication, the second and most important element is the message itself. Now, messages does not necessarily mean verbal messages. It could actually also mean non-verbal messages. Like if I'm standing in front of you and I'm like, "Hey Alice, nice to meet you." But if I go like, "Hey Alice, nice to meet you." So you see, I said the same thing. So here the verbal message is the same, but my tone, my body language, my excitement determines how the interpersonal communication occurred. The third element of interpersonal communication is the channel. The channel is basically the thing through which the communication occurs. Now, when we talk about, for example, digital media, the channel could be an email. So the message was put by me into an email. So this emailing process becomes the channel of communication. However, when it comes to nonverbal communication, the channel is the 5 senses. Like the previous example that I just gave, your tone, your body language, your facial expressions also put together the channel of your communication. The fourth element of interpersonal communication is noise. Now, when it comes to communication studies, the word noise means anything that can interfere the delivery of a message to someone else. Noise can be external, like the environment, or the physical discomfort, like you're trying to talk to someone on the phone, but the network is too bad and you can't really hear them. Noise could also be internal. For example, racism or introversion in a person can also be noise because this might affect the way they communicate with someone else. Element number 5 is feedback. Now, feedback is like the information we get in response to a message that we have sent. A feedback can be positive or a feedback can be negative. Also, keep in mind there are actually 2 types of feedbacks. They could be verbal feedback when someone comes to you and tells you that they have received and understood the message that you have sent them, or they might want to discuss it. And it could also be nonverbal feedback. Nonverbal feedback is basically when you ask someone to do something or you communicate a point to them, their action, even if they do not say it to you, their actions would tell you whether they have understood it or not. The 6th element of interpersonal communication is the context. Now, the context is a very broad element. It refers to the overall context in which you're communicating something. This could mean the physical environment, like whether you're at the beach or whether you're at the workplace, or it could mean to whom you're communicating, whether it is a coworker or whether it's a close friend or relative or someone you do not know. So the context is the entire situation of the communication. And the last element of interpersonal communication is called the effect. Now, the effect of the communication basically means how you were influenced by this communication. So when something is communicated to you or when you communicate something to someone else, the effect could actually be to that person or to yourself. It could be physical, emotional, or cognitive, or it could be a combination of any of these. The reason I made a video about these elements of interpersonal communication, even though they seem very simple, is because if you master yourself at understanding these elements and how to use them and put together, you will actually be able to make a strong point or to communicate very strongly with someone else. So the better you understand these, the better interpersonal communicator you become. So I hope you all found this video useful. Please click the subscribe button, and if you have any suggestions for future videos, please write that down in the comments section. See you all later.